In the small town of Charlemagne, Quebec, a young girl named Celine Dion was born into a family where survival and music lived side by side. She was the 14th child of Thérèse and Adhémar Dion, and their modest home was always full of siblings, laughter, noise, and sometimes worry about how everything would be provided for. Yet despite the financial struggles, music filled every corner of the house. Her father played the accordion, her mother sang beautifully, and the older children formed little bands of their own. Music wasn't just entertainment in that household. It was comfort, celebration, and connection. When 5-year-old Celine climbed onto the kitchen table and began singing for her family, the room fell silent. Her parents exchanged a quiet look that said everything. Something extraordinary lived in that child's voice. And even in that crowded home, they could already feel that her story might someday travel far beyond their small town. A dream sent in the mail. By the time Celine was 12, the family decided to take a brave step. Her mother wrote a song called Ce n'était qu'un rêve, meaning it was only a dream. They recorded a simple demo and mailed it to music manager René Angelil, one of Quebec's most respected figures in the industry. At first, it was just another tape among hundreds, but when Rene pressed play, something made him listen again. Soon he was standing in the Dion family's living room, expecting a typical young performer. Instead, he heard a voice that filled the room with emotion far beyond her age. According to him, he was moved to tears before the song even finished. His belief was so strong that he mortgaged his own house to finance her first album. It was an extraordinary risk, but it revealed the depth of his conviction. This young girl's voice deserved to be heard. Growing beyond Quebec, Celine's early French-language albums quickly made her a star in Quebec. Audiences were drawn not only to her powerful voice, but also to her sincerity. Yet Rene understood that if her talent was truly as special as it seemed, the world needed to hear it too. Preparing her for that stage required patience and careful guidance. Celine spent years improving her English, refining her stage presence, and learning the international music business. It wasn't about changing who she was. It was about helping the world understand her voice. She worked with remarkable discipline, often saying later that Rene believed in her before she fully believed in herself. Those years of preparation quietly built the foundation for something much larger. When the moment came, she would be ready, not just as a talented singer from Quebec, but as an artist capable of touching audiences across cultures and languages. A love that faced the spotlight. As Celine grew older, her relationship with Rene evolved from professional partnership into something deeply personal. Their bond developed over many years, and when their romance eventually became public, the reaction was intense. Rene was 26 years older, and many critics questioned their relationship. Headlines and gossip followed them for years. But through it all, Celine spoke calmly and confidently about her feelings. She insisted that their connection was real and built on respect, trust, and shared dreams. In December 1994, they married in a grand ceremony at Notre Dame Basilica. The wedding was broadcast on television and watched by millions. For Celine, it was more than a glamorous moment. It was a celebration of the man who had believed in her voice when almost no one else had. Together, they had built a life rooted in music, partnership, and loyalty. A voice the world could hear, the world truly discovered Celine Dion when she stepped onto the stage of the Eurovision Song Contest 1988 representing Switzerland. Singing Ne partez pas sans moi, she won by a single point, but that narrow victory changed everything. Suddenly, audiences far beyond Canada knew her name. English language albums followed, including Unison and The Color of My Love. Her songs climbed international charts and introduced listeners to a voice capable of both power and tenderness. Tracks like The Power of Love and Because You Love Me showed her remarkable range and emotional honesty. Listeners felt as though she was singing directly to them. Critics who had once doubted her style began to recognize something undeniable. Her voice carried a depth that transcended musical trends. Celine was not just another pop singer, she was becoming one of the most recognizable voices in the world. A new chapter in Las Vegas. When Celine returned to performing, she did so in a way that changed the entertainment industry. Instead of constant touring, she began a long-term residency show at Caesar's Palace called A New Day. The production combined music, theatrical design, and visual artistry on a scale rarely seen before in a residency performance. Night after night, audiences traveled to Las Vegas specifically to see her. The show ran for years and welcomed hundreds of thousands of fans. More importantly, it allowed Celine to balance her career with family life. She and Rene raised their children while maintaining a stable home environment. It was a different rhythm from the non-stop travel of international tours. For Celine, it proved that success did not always require sacrificing personal happiness. Sometimes, the most powerful career decisions are the ones that protect the life behind the spotlight. Family joy and quiet challenges. Celine and Rene always dreamed of expanding their family. After years of fertility treatments and emotional ups and downs, their dream came true in 2010 when twin boys, Nelson and Eddie, were born. Their older son, René Charles, welcomed his new brothers with excitement. The family celebrated the joyful moment, knowing how long they had waited for it. Yet life continued to carry uncertainty as well. René's health remained a concern, and the couple understood that time was precious. They focused on enjoying everyday moments, family dinners, laughter, and the ordinary experiences that fame often makes difficult. For Celine, motherhood brought a different kind of fulfillment. Despite performing on the world's biggest stages, she often said that holding her children felt more meaningful than any applause she had ever received. Those years blended public triumph with deeply personal gratitude, loss, and strength. In 2016, Celine faced one of the most painful periods of her life. René Angelil passed away after a long illness, and only 2 days later, her brother Daniel also died. The losses came so close together that the emotional weight was almost unimaginable. Yet Celine stood before the public with quiet strength, honoring the people she loved while continuing to care for her family. For decades, Rene had been her manager, mentor, and partner. Their story had survived criticism, illness, and the pressures of global fame. Through it all, their bond remained strong. Returning to the stage after his passing was not about proving resilience. It was about continuing the dream they had built together. Singing again became her way of honoring the belief Rene had shown when he first listened to a young girl's demo tape. A new health challenge. Years later, Celine shared that she had been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, a rare neurological condition that affects the muscles and nervous system. The illness forced her to cancel performances and focus on treatment and recovery. For someone whose life had always revolved around performing, the change was incredibly difficult. Yet she approached the challenge with the same determination that had guided her entire career. With the support of her sons and medical specialists, she committed herself to therapy and rehabilitation. Fans around the world sent messages of encouragement. Celine spoke honestly about her situation, asking for patience and understanding. Even without the stage lights and cheering crowds, her story continued to inspire people. It reminded everyone that strength often appears in quiet perseverance rather than dramatic moments, a voice that still connects. In 2024, Celine surprised the world with a moving performance during the 2024 Summer Olympics opening ceremony in Paris. Standing beneath the glowing Eiffel Tower, she sang with emotion that carried decades of experience. The moment felt powerful, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. Her voice held the story of everything she had lived through: humble beginnings, worldwide fame, love, loss, and resilience. Today, Celine continues focusing on her health and family while hoping to perform again in the future. Whether on a stage or in everyday life, her voice still carries the same purpose it did when she first sang at the kitchen table, to connect people through emotion. Her journey reminds us that behind every great voice is a life filled with courage, dedication, and heart.